Welcome, Greg.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to have you here, and here we are now approaching more closer to the holiday season, and I think it's quite a great time for people who are listening to our podcast to learn more also about everything you stand for and everything you're all about. So we are going to talk about investment. We're going to talk about startup culture in Romania. We're going to talk about economics. And just to introduce you really shortly here for our audience, and we welcome them and we thank them for being with us in this podcast as well. Grégoire Vigroux, you are a serial entrepreneur, you are an investor, and you have also founded a lot of startups in Romania, but not only in Romania. We were going to touch upon that. I've met you also interacting with this environment of French companies in Romania. We can say maybe also through the Chamber of Commerce, the French Chamber of Commerce in Romania, but also through your own community, which is La French Tech. But I have mostly got the chance to meet you and understand what you're all about through Beyond Business School. So we're going to touch upon that a little bit later because that's really the common factor and the common thing that links us in this podcast. But since you have this amazing experience, I want to first understand, as I did in previous podcasts, you as an expat that you have decided to live here and have your whole life in Romania. How come you have arrived here? What is your story of choosing Romania, of moving here, and how do you feel now after all these years here?
2006, I am graduated from this MBA in Paris, and I'm discussing with the other freshly graduated students from my cohort. Some of them, they said, you know what, I'm going to go to London. Another one said, I'm going to go to Germany. And two of them, they said, we are going to go to the USA. We are going to go to the Silicon Valley. Because this is all happening there. Let's go to Palo Alto. And my friends, they say, and you, Greg, where are you going to? And I say, I'm going to Bucharest, stunning Romania. And you know what? They started laughing.
I bet. That would have been a shock.
And actually, it's one of the best decisions I've made in my life. It was a rational decision I've made back then because when you are an entrepreneur wannabe, you can decide to go in those places that are extremely competitive. I would have gone to Palo Alto. I would have launched my startup maybe, but I would have competed with startup entrepreneurs, probably with more experience than me, access to much more capital than me.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a very, very, very hard fight.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the New Europe, in the heart of New Europe, Romania, was a beautiful choice, both personally and professionally. And since then, I never left the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I will probably die here
Mm-hmm.
in beautiful Romania.
When was that? So when was the year exactly? When did you choose? When did this all happen?
2006, I come
2006.
here. I work at the French embassy because I needed to stay, to start somewhere. And I had this opportunity to work at the French embassy.
Mm-hmm.
I was in charge with relationships between France and in Romania when it comes to audiovisual, so movies,
Mm-hmm.
TV, programs, etc., radio. But it didn't go well because I stayed 1 year at the French embassy and it was not really my best environment because I'm a natural serial. I mean, I'm a natural born entrepreneur and I really felt like this environment was not the best.
Mm-hmm.
And something bad happened between me and the ambassador back then. And therefore, I decided to leave the French embassy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was the point when you first got there. You were in this environment at the French embassy, and your heart was in another place, right? Your heart was mostly in entrepreneurship. But Romania, I think, was quite different at that time. So where have you seen these opportunities of entrepreneurship? Not that many people, even here, Romanians, saw back then all these opportunities that now have become a reality.
Yeah.
How come you have seen now?
Yeah. So working at the embassy was a comfortable option.
Mm-hmm.
I was young. Back then, 2006, I was 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I had this appeal from the world of entrepreneurship for sure. And even though there were some interesting reasons why I could have stayed at the French embassy, I got this fight with the French ambassador back then because I really wanted, I had an entrepreneurial mind, and I wanted actually to do some more stuff between our two countries when it was coming to TV. And I was a friend back then. With Tudor Giurgiu, who was the CEO of TVR.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So 2006, it was the year of francophonie in Romania. Romania was hosting the Sommet International de la Francophonie.
Mm-hmm.
And on a Friday evening, very late, I end up in the office of Tudor Giurgiu, president of the director general of TVR.
Mm-hmm.
And after 2 hours in his office, he said, "You will never guess who is my next guest after you, who has been waiting in the waiting room for 1 hour." And said, "Shoot, tell me who." He said, "Your ambassador." This ambassador was a bit old school. I said, "Okay, but it's going to be hard because I'm young. I'm just like a little intern, let's put it like this, within the French embassy organization. I'm a newbie, and I'm not sure he's going to like this." I go in the waiting room to meet with the French ambassador. I said, "Hello, Mr. Ambassador, it's me." We had met 4 or 5 times. He was not remembering who I was. I said, "I'm Grégoire. I'm your guy taking care of audiovisual." And he started shouting at me, and it was a very humiliating experience. He said, "You have no right to be here. You have no right to discuss with important people like him because you are not important." So this view, very hierarchical view of where is my place and where is his, it was a shock. And he started shouting at me, saying, "The next flight for you, Grégoire Vigroux, is tomorrow at 5 p.m., at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. You take the first flight back to Paris and you never set foot anymore in Romania."
Mm-hmm.
His own words. It was a very brutal but useful experience that I had. I said, "Okay, now that's it. I go." If my energy, my temper, that are very entrepreneurial, very intense, because are not needed or wanted within the French embassy because of this bad interaction I had with this person, I have nothing to do here. So you know what? Let's do what I always wanted to do. Let's do it. My dream is to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to become an entrepreneur.
So you didn't take the flight.
I didn't take the flight. Surprisingly, I was expecting to receive a phone call, whatever. Nothing happened. I stayed, and nothing happened. But still, he wanted to, to show who is the boss, whatever, and to show how low I could be in this organization or short, whatever. But it was a long time ago. Wonderful people working in the embassy. The new ambassador is great. I mean, I just don't. I'm just sharing this story because the two of us, we are friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's a podcast, and I want to meet myself to be authentic and to share real stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to serve you any bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to tell you life stories with my rapport with Romania, my own stories, what brought me here, what happened to me, why did I take those career chances.
Most people, when they would be in that type of, let's say, experience, they would be they will lack motivation. I mean, the whole purpose of what happened to you at that point was to discourage you, to make you leave Romania and go and be outside of the country.
Right.
But after that experience, now almost 20 years later, you have founded a lot of several successful companies. You have still remained here, and you chose to make a future here and to also be a leader in your community. We will reach that point of the story to understand it more, let's say, in detail. But immediately after this happening to you, have you started working in what would later become Telus? Or was that, let's say, I think you first called it Call Point, right?
After the embassy, I'm a very pragmatic guy and very simple guy. So me and my business partners, we said, what could we launch as a business in Romania? So we identified obvious facts. Romanians are very good at speaking foreign languages. So what type of business could we launch so that we can match this mastery of foreign languages with an actual business opportunity? And we started thinking with my business partners. Jan, a very close friend of mine, we did the same business school. I'm a very gashka type of guy. I really work as a pack with my friend, with my, we have this extended family of friends whom I have been doing business for a long time. And Jan Bidan, my friend since business school since 1999, and he came to Bucharest to see me for a week. I said, you know what, let's start a business here in Romania. Romania is super promising. Then we started discussing with other friends of ours from Bulgaria who had this amazing call center business. And you said, this is very interesting. Maybe we should also launch a call center business here in Romania because people speak so well foreign languages. And there is this big wave of multilingual BPO outsourcing across Eastern Europe. Bit by bit, we started collecting a bit money, with borrowing money from friends, family. And then we started a call center in Bucharest with 8 employees.
8.
Now we have 7,000 people. We are part of TELUS Digital, which is part of this huge TELUS Corp organization. It's a telco from Canada. It took me 10 years to exit from this company. Very, very long time. I love this organization. I love it at every single stage. It's my biggest baby. Among all my companies, it's been the biggest, the most successful. Can you imagine from 8 employees to 3,000 in Romania plus 4,000 in Bulgaria, 7,000 in total? It's our legacy. Even though I'm not very operationally involved today, I still serve the company in the board. I still serve the company as an advisor, but I'm not operationally involved. But it's a beautiful company, a beautiful experience. It's always hard for me when I exit from a company to turn the page and say I'm going to start something new. I always need to keep a connection with the team because I'm very affective people. I'm very attached to people. I'm attached to the companies in which I get involved. So I'm still involved with the organization, which is named TELUS Digital today. And
so
we have a beautiful.
This is a huge organization at this point, but which part was the hardest in upscale? Because you started, as you said, with 8 people. And when was this?
April 2007.
2007. So 2007, a call center back then. Of course, now a lot of people know that Bucharest, at least for a long period, was known for call centers and so on. I don't know how relevant they still are today, but I think it's still a huge part. But at that point, they were new.
Yeah.
Of course, it was like you had some vision for that. I mean, a lot of vision actually to start a call center here and to see these opportunities that other people have not seen. Okay, people speaking multiple languages. 2007, you said. So 2007, 8 people. I bet phone books or
Telemarketing, Yellow Pages,
Yellow Pages.
calling people in Germany to sell them some stuff that they didn't want to have. I'm not proud about the way we started. I'm not proud of it, but you need to start somewhere.
Of course.
Whenever we launch a business in this BPO world, you need to start somewhere, and usually it's telemarketing because it's easy to get the projects, but you are paid out of commissions only, commission-based schemes. And then from a pure telemarketing agency, we become a call center. So not only doing outbound, but also taking care of inbound calls, not only outbound, but inbound. Then we became a contact center, not only dealing with phone interactions, voice interactions, but email, then chat, then social media, then IT support, then IT outsourcing, etc. So trying to add value at every single step so that you can increase your revenue, so that you can offer better jobs to your team members, so that you become a bigger, more respected player in your industry.
And you didn't stop there. So after you exited with TELUS, you have started to found other companies. Like right now, I think one of those companies that is maybe also quite well known, especially in Bucharest, is Bonap.
Yes.
Right? Could you tell us a bit about Bonap?
Oh, sure. I can talk about my companies for hours. You know, I'm super pumped. I just need to be short and straight to the point here because I could do you the long story. I'm going to make it short. I've again always coming back to one thing. Entrepreneurs, they are problem solvers. And what is our role in society as entrepreneurs is to identify pressing issues. And the pressing issue that we've identified initially was that almost half of the food that is produced in Romania goes to waste. is wasted. Half of it. That's problem number one. Problem number two, it becomes increasingly difficult for Romanian households, for some Romanian households, to afford food.
Yeah,
Because prices on food in Romania are more expensive than in Germany or in France.
exactly. Inflation.
So you have half of the food produced being wasted,
Mhm.
but in the same time, you have lots of Romanian households, unfortunately, who are struggling to buy food because it's more expensive. Inflation is striking. I said, what can we do? I like simple businesses. So with my business partners, Luca and Diego, we said, you know what we are going to do? We are going to create this mobile application named Bonapp, and we are going to put in touch retailer. I mean, we are going to connect users with retailers through our mobile application, which is super easy to use. Our users, they connect and they see through a geolocalization system 50 meters away, there is a supermarket, a hypermarket, a restaurant, a gas station, a hotel, whatever, that is offering food at a discounted price between 50% to 80% less expensive. Just the food is going to expire the next day or 2 days after. It's a win for the user who is going to save between 50 to 80% on food cost. It's a win for the retailer because they decrease, of course, food waste and they increase revenue. And it's a win for the planet because 10% of the global CO2 emissions are due to food waste. I
Okay.
love this type of businesses. Positive impact on the environment, positive impact on people, positive impact on businesses. It's not rocket science. And I'm a simple guy, as I said, in terms of entrepreneurship with my business partners. We said, you know what, let's not reinvent the wheel. Something I'm seeing in lots of entrepreneurs, they believe that they are smarter than anyone else. We don't believe we are smarter than anyone else. We said, like, let's look at this type of mobile applications working well from abroad. And we took lots of inspiration from the number one player globally, present in 22 countries, highly successful. And he said, okay, you know what? We are going to take as much inspiration as possible when we are going to build our own apps. Except that when we see things that we can improve, we are going to do even better than them. But then my business partner said, look, you know what, Greg, the problem is that it's going to take us 1 year to develop the mobile application. And they said the problem is that it's going to cost us about 100,000 euros. I said, guys, we are entrepreneurs, so let's look at shortcuts. We don't have 1 year in front of us, and we don't want to spend 100K. Let's find ways. You know what? We are going to discuss with companies that have already developed similar mobile applications, and we are going to buy from them the mobile application. And this is exactly what happened. We contacted all the companies doing the exact same thing in Europe, and we bought the technology from them.
Okay.
And for 30K, we bought the technology, asking them to deliver an application in Romanian and in English with our Bonapp branding. Took us 30K, 3 months instead of 1 year, 100K. As entrepreneurs, we need to really looking at shortcuts, best way to efficiency, to trying to be smart, creative, and schmecker, but schmecker in the nice way. Always behave well with people and with organization because it's all about reputation, but trying to be smart. We are not always smart, but on this one we were smart. We launched 3 years ago. We have 400,000 people who downloaded our mobile application in Romania, whereas we are a small company of 8 people. We are 8 employees.
Amazing
and we have
numbers.
400,000 people using it. Simple technology, small team, super agile, super lean. I love it.
Yeah, I've seen you have secured big retailers as well, man.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's really great. But you're talking about entrepreneurship, an entrepreneurial mindset, and also a well-known maybe stereotype. But let's discuss if it's a stereotype or not. Is that entrepreneurs, startup owners, and also startup people are people who are, let's say, not afraid of risk, generally speaking, because a lot of the startups fail. It's a well-known aspect. So, have you also failed in any of your business endeavors? And I think it's quite valuable that people who look at your journey have seen that you have a lot of successes, you have a lot of innovative thinking, you have a lot of putting, let's say, money where your words are, and also getting to the end of a project and being serious about all of that stuff. But of course, in all of that story, there has to be some failure, because that's the point where you also learn, and that's the point where you also reinvent yourself and maybe start something new. So basically my question is, have you also failed in any of your businesses, and how come you have found the power to also, after a failure, start a new business and go again into that risk, knowing that you can fail?
I embrace my failures and I embrace my vulnerabilities, and I'm going to dedicate some time to talk about this. But first of all, coming back to the first part of your comment, yes, entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs are mavericks.
Mhm.
You know the statistics? 80 to 90% of tech startups in Europe will never reach their fifth birthday.
Whoa.
It's a very risky game. It's a Russian roulette
Mhm.
when you know the statistics. So now that you know the statistics, as an entrepreneur, what can you do? You try to find ways, methodologies, in order to decrease this mortal rate from 80 to 90 to 10 to 20. This is what I've been doing. What is my methodology? I'm going to make it short once again because I could talk about this for days. So basically, first of all, coming back to Bonap's example, by launching a company inspired by successful businesses that are similar in other countries, you considerably reduce the risk. Why? Because in the case of Bonap, taking inspiration from this company named Too Good To Go, present in more than 20 countries and being successful in 20 countries from South Europe, Western Europe, Scandinavia, and North America, if the company has been so successful in so many countries, there is no reason why in the world it wouldn't work in Southeastern Europe. Number one, so not reinventing the wheel, trying to take inspiration, no copycat,
Mhm.
trying to take inspiration because you need to take care of your demographic or the cultural habits, the market dynamics of your country or your countries in which you are going to operate the business. That's number one. Then discussing already prior to launch with those companies. So we talk to this company that I mentioned, the global leader, connecting on LinkedIn. We are new kid in town, new kid on the block. We want to do something similar to you guys because we love what you do. Fighting food waste is extremely important. We have the same values as you have. It's not our first startup rodeo. We want to launch that. Discussing with those people, asking them, are you planning to deploy in Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, Greece, and Moldova in the next 3 to 4 years?
Mhm.
Making sure that they don't deploy the day after tomorrow or tomorrow. Then again, you decrease once again the risk because you know that the massive player or the massive players are not going to come into your markets. It gives you a window of opportunity. Then, when you go and pitch VCs because you need to raise money for those cash-intensive type of startups, you get money more easily from them because you explain to them that you don't come with an idea out of the blue, but you are taking inspiration from a very successful model abroad. It's a reassuring factor for them because you show them that your failure rate probably is going to be much smaller than if you would come with an idea out of the blue.
Mhm.
So these are the very simple methodologies that we are using, and I would even push the logic even further, saying that if you are looking at global tech giant, because here we have a double strength. We know how to be humble enough to take inspiration from big player, and we are in a region which is untapped usually because between the US and Western Europe till the moment those successful companies, they could startup companies, they will come here. We still usually have some time to identify, to reflex, to to adapt, to launch, right? But eventually, those companies can be the ones buying us out. Because by starting having discussions with the companies from which we take the inspiration, we can already secure a potential exit.
Mhm.
Because we become friends, you said, you know what, let's have a call every 2 to 3 months. Or you know what, I'm going to send you an update from time to time about our business. I'm going to take another example. I did the quickest exit for a Romanian startup. I launched a company named Phoenix, one of the first companies in Romania selling refurbished smartphones.
Mhm.
I launched a company in April 2020, with 2 business partners. We launched the company. Before we launched the company, we discussed with several European players, including a very successful French company named Recommerce Group that belongs to the Mullier family. Mullier family has Leroy Merlin, Decathlon,
I know, yeah.
Auchan, etc. Right? Yeah. Discussing with the CEO of this company 6 months before launch. You know, new kid on the block. We are going to do the exact same thing as you guys do, but in Romania, and then we will expand to Southeastern Europe. They said, yes, it's very interesting. It's really a region that seems to be interesting, that seems to be super appealing. Are you guys coming to the... Not yet. No, we don't know. This is fragmented market. We are looking at this. It seems interesting to us, but we are not planning to come anytime sooner. Okay. We are launching the business. And on a regular basis, we send them an email. Oh, you know what? We just closed the deal with Vodafone. Now our refurbished smartphones are available in Vodafone shops. Or we just signed with Carrefour. Now we sell our phones in Carrefour, in Flanco, etc. This little startup companies created by these young entrepreneurs, including a French one. I mean, I'm not that young, but 41. That was 4 years ago. I was 40. Interesting. They have quite some traction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They say, "Are you coming to Paris anytime sooner so we can discuss?" I said, "Yes, next time we come to Paris." The week after, I was not even coming to them to Paris. They give me a call and said, "You know what? We just had a board meeting and we realized that we would like to expand to Eastern Europe. And you know what? We don't want to do it alone. So would you consider partnering with us?" Eventually, 14 months after launch, we sold 100% of our company to Recommerce Group, a company that I still proudly serve today. So what I'm saying here is that nothing is rocket science. You need to be humble enough to understand that you need to understand how it works from those companies from which you might potentially take some inspiration. You need to adapt your logic to the local markets, and you need to be friend with competition, local competition, international competition. You need to discuss with everyone because you never know that out of serendipity, anything can happen. And basically, the conclusion to all this is have an exit plan, have an exit strategy for it from day one. I'm not saying that the purpose of any tech startup is to exit. What I'm saying is that if you have multiple cards on the table and potentially one of them is an exit with company A, B, C, it gives you more options whenever you will be looking at what you want to do with the future of your tech startups.
I wanted to ask you something differently, but I'm still keeping a little bit. I'm staying with you on this idea because I find it really interesting what you said. Have an exit strategy from day one. From my interactions with a lot of Romanian entrepreneurs, their mentality is not to exit. Their mentality is to start a business, develop that business, usually a family business and so on. Even if when it becomes bigger than a family business, it's already quite complex. It's over, I don't know, let's say for Romania, over 1 million euros turnover and so something like that. They're still not looking for an exit. They are looking on how they can expand, how they can develop, how they can grow, but they're never looking for an exit. I think this is a little bit foreign still to the mentality of most of the Romanian entrepreneurs of starting businesses in order to exit at some point, sell them, and so on, which is the mentality and the whole environment around startups. But going from this, what I actually wanted to ask you is I've seen till this point in this podcast your take from the part of you that starts companies, that founds, the founder side of you. I want to understand also your perspective as a private investor, because you're investing in a lot of companies as well. And what's your understanding of Romania's current environment of startups, VC culture in Romania, and also because I think a lot of people maybe have come to you and they said, "Look, I have this company. Do you want to chip in? We're going to do this, that, and so on. We're going to revolutionize the whole Romanian market and expand and get to the US and the whole globe and maybe also Mars." That's also the mentality of most of the entrepreneurs. But how do you see the ecosystem here in Romania of startups from your perspective as a private investor?
Before I answer to this question, I just want to complete something on what I was saying earlier about the strategy and the approach, because it might be interesting for the business people listening to this podcast. Southeastern Europe, we just need to look at what's happening in Western Europe and in North America. Every morning, I spend half an hour sharp with my coffee. This is the first thing I do in the morning, going through the tech news, innovation, startup news. And every time I see a very beautiful idea that I think could be duplicated here, I implement it here in Romania and then to neighboring countries. Then I talk to some of my people from my group of friends and co-founders. Some of them are former consultants. They look at this after 1 week. They get back to me and say, "Yes, there is a potential, something to do." In that case, we do a very deep market research. If they say no, there is no way, it's not timing, not something is going wrong, we just kill the potential opportunity. This is the way I'm doing it. And also something about trying to have the humility to take inspiration from existing businesses abroad. Let's look at the big tech giants in the world. Is any of them a pioneer? None of them. Facebook didn't invent, or TikTok didn't invent social media. Google didn't invent a search engine. Tesla didn't invent electric cars. Amazon didn't invent e-commerce. Those are players who came in a market where there was already one or two established global leaders. And they tried to challenge the model saying, yeah, this is where we believe we can do better than them. Yes, we can duplicate these strengths that they have because they understood this, that. But here we can do better, or they might not anticipate this new trend, this new shift in business. So this is also something that I wanted to tell you about. Now, answering to your question, I'm no longer a business angel investing in other businesses than mine. Why? Because I've noticed that I cannot be everywhere. Already, I'm really scattered between the different startups. Lately, Bonap is very important for me. So this is really a point of focus because we are going to announce huge news in a few months. It's going to be huge. I mean, we are scaling up like crazy. We have 15% month-over-month growth. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's a roller coaster. I don't want to brag. We had difficult times, but now we are in a very good trend, and we're. But it's been a hard fight, and it's been a roller coaster. But I'm really happy where we brought it here. Our executive MBA, Beyond Business School, is also super close to my heart, and also my reputation is at stake because if everything goes well with our Beyonders, our students, I'm happy because there is word of mouth. People talk about this. I bring the top CEOs, as you know very well, from Romania and beyond to come and teach our students, top trainers, top professors. And if there is anything going wrong, it's not only the image, the brand image of me and my great business partner Andra, which is at stake. It's also so it's not Andra and me in the business, but it's everything as a whole. And the stakes are absolutely huge because if we have a problem with someone, with a user, with an application, etc., our customer service is going to do everything with Bonap to solve it, right? But if we have a major problem with one of our Beyonders and if something happens, the potential problem is actually more huge, or with one of the CEOs coming in. So we want to reach some level of excellence, which are at a level which makes me really like a psychopath of trying to deliver the best possible experience for our teachers, for our CEOs, and of course, above all, for our Beyonders, especially it's the beginning. So we are building the foundations of what is going to become a huge organization dedicated to executive training, because with Andra, we are now on top of this one cohort that is forming the next generation of Romanian business leaders, 10 weekends in a row, between January to March, once per year. We want to develop also some other type of executive programs. I cannot disclose much for now, but there is much at stake. Sorry, it was not your question. I'm sorry about
it wasn't, but I want to chip in because you've mentioned Beyond Business School. So I have to say that this was the link that I mentioned at the beginning. I am a student of the first cohort of Beyond Business School.
Beyonder forever.
Exactly. And I want to share my experience. My experience was an amazing one because I finished my studies in Germany. I went abroad, studied history, political science. And then I was looking, when I came back and started working, of course, my time was becoming scarce. And I was looking on for a new study experience. I was quite hungry for that, for some formal studying experience that would also help me at my current job. Studying social sciences, of course, my understanding of economics, of the private sector, of investments, of everything that has to do mostly with the financial and monetary policy was scarce, and it wasn't, let's say, that developed in a formal sense. I was learning by doing. I was understanding the perspective of my clients by working with them. I didn't get them from any experts, let's say, in the field. So when I understood and when I, let's say, first heard about this opportunity, I really got excited. And after I finished those 10 weekends that you talked about, which are even more than 10 weekends. I mean, it's also like an online part. It's also the weekends, also Friday, which is the CEO talk. But I really got enriched in such a short time. I managed to understand accounting. I managed to learn a lot about AI and AI in business and what this means. This was really breathtaking. I mean, it's a really new thing that was even newer and cutting edge back then when the first cohort started this year. Now it already becomes old, but at the beginning of the year it was a new thing. And it was in the curriculum. It was what we were doing. We were also not learning only like you are learning in school or in university, classic university. The professor comes, has a PowerPoint, tells you something, and everybody sits there and falls asleep. That didn't happen. It was interactive. It was applied. It was sharing experiences. It was learning through master classes from people who are actually doing the things they are teaching you every day. So as a student, I can not only sell this even more than I'm already doing it right now, because I'm doing this with everybody that I'm speaking with.
Anyway, and thank you for
Yeah,
that. I mean,
it's
it's power of community. I mean, it's a
is.
human adventure. It's not only it goes beyond that. This is why we named it Beyond. And do you know why it works? You know why Beyond Business School works? 2 words: reverse pitching. Let me elaborate on that. I had 0 experience in education. Andra, my business partner, neither. How do we make sure that we launch an executive MBA program, whereas we are new to the field? We basically had dinner with 21 CEOs, 21 top CEOs in Romania, top corporate CEOs. And we asked them, we didn't come at the dinner saying, you know what, I'm going to pitch you an amazing executive MBA idea. Let me know if you like it. I came to the dinner. I put my notebook and my pen on the table and say, I'm going to ask one single question and you can elaborate as much as you can. And I'm going to take notes. They said, okay. This is how I do business, by the way. I'm French. I do business over the good dinners in good restaurants. This is the way I proceed. This is part of my who I am. And I asked this one single question. I said, like, tell me about your challenges when it comes to high flyers internally that you want to help take their career to the next level through MBAs or executive MBAs. And then I started listening. The humility of listening, top CEOs telling us about their pain points. Taking notes. Basically, I'm going to make it short. The feedback from those 21 CEOs was the following. Of course, we have high flyers within our organization. Of course, we would like to send them to do some MBAs in Vienna, Paris, and London. But it's super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big sacrifice for those people because they have boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, families, kids. It's a big sacrifice also for the organization because we are talking about the high flyers, the people who bring the most important value to our organization, and you want them. I mean, we would send them 1 to 2 years abroad. It does not work.
Yeah.
Plus, if we send them abroad, maybe some of them, they won't come back.
Exactly.
So I said, okay. We came back to these 21 CEOs saying, you know what? We understand. Costs, going abroad, time, etc. We offer to you a 10 weekends fast-track executive MBA during the weekends so that it does not impact the working hours of your organization. 5,000 euros so that it does not cost much on your HR training budget. And it's going to be in Bucharest. It's going to be named Beyond Business School. Give us some feedback about this. People started to like the idea. And also we asked the people, what do you want to see in this in terms of, because it's going to be a mini MBA, 120 hours plus 20 hours online, plus 10 hours entrepreneurial project capstone, so 150 hours. What do you want us to teach them? Some of them said like, digital transformation is super important topic. Put the focus on that. Some of them said sustainability is an important topic for us. And something I was not expecting, Norandra, I said, look, public speaking is super important because we have amazing Romanian leaders within our organization potentially, but they miss something in terms of speaking in public. It's something I couldn't have foreseen. They are smart, dedicated, promising, but every time they talk to their team, this is a Romanian problem that we have sometimes in Romanian organization is that we have amazing people, but they just don't feel comfortable speaking in public. And nowadays, you need to have charismatic leaders so that you can bring your people in one direction. So additional layer, second step of collecting feedback. And then we've built this program, Executive MBA, 100% based on top CEO feedback. And this is why it's been successful. And I would even push the logic further. It's been successful because those people were involved in the first place, and they felt some fatherhood or motherhood, parenthood on the genesis of the opportunity. Whenever you're a CEO, and before we even launch, 6 months before we launch Beyond Business School, we ask you, how should we build this executive MBA program? And your ideas as a CEO and your suggestions, your recommendations are taken into account when we get back to you and say, we've built this program notably based on your feedback. They feel like, okay, you know what? You understand exactly what I wanted to do, what I need. So I'm going to send students to you, and I'm going to come in the CEO talks to share my leadership experience with your students.
But
and
that's
this
really smart, because that's co-creating with the people that actually will benefit most from it.
You bet on certainty. So by doing reverse pitching, you don't bet on odds of what you believe a solution might potentially,
or
assuming that it's going to match a potential market need.
Can you share?
You ensure that the market need is matched 100% by doing reverse pitching. Everybody pitches, startup entrepreneur pitching to corporates, whatever.
And
the chances that it fits their exact, the chances that it fits their exact need is so small. But when you design everything based on client feedback, you already ensure your future revenue and your future contract. It sounds super easy the way I put it, but no one is doing this. No one is doing it. So coming back to your earlier question, this is why I have a failure rate, which is much smaller. But I'm going to answer to your earlier question, and I'm sorry, I don't take them in the right order, but coming back to this, of course, I failed my friend. I'm still failing every day. My biggest startup failure was a company named Teamway. I love the project. Again, I mean, it was based, I'm friend with the CEO of BlaBlaCar. BlaBlaCar is this big French unicorn.
I know it.
It's absolutely amazing.
I think it's well known. A lot of people know it.
Yeah, in Romania, it's not as much known because their team is now super small for different reasons. The BlaBlaCar is not as huge in Romania. But I really enjoyed very much in France. They have this Blabla Daily. Blabla Daily is the same thing, but it's a corporate carpooling application. So that basically, between your place and your office, you can connect with coworkers from the same organization or from different organization because they live in the same area or on the way from your home to your office, so that it's less traffic on the road. And my big problem, I was starting earlier saying, you start with the problem. My problem, one of the problems that I see is that Bucharest traffic is crazy huge. And it creates lots of pollution. So how can I fight about pollution, traffic, and also gas is super expensive for people to put gas in their car. Carpooling, corporate carpooling, because I'm a B2B animal for whatever reason. I'm more B2B animal than a B2C animal. And I have access to those CEOs. So I go to these CEOs and start asking them about these. A few big organizations among the largest companies in Romania say, we are in problem. The most important thing in business is timing. And we were supposed to launch the PR the week after a COVID stroke and with the lockdown. We spent 70,000 euros in developing a mobile application that was never launched. So this is a massive failure because the timing was bad. And for whatever reason, we didn't reactivate the project afterwards because the team left and etc. It's been a big setback. It's a big setback. Frankly, it was a huge setback. But you never control anything. This is also what makes entrepreneurship exciting. Even with the best team, with reverse pitching, trying to take inspiration from models that already are successful abroad. I mean, you can't control anything. There is always...
an event that will... kill a beautiful momentum and a really needed solution for, Bucharest. When you've explained it to me, I never heard of that part of their business, but still, when you explained to me, I understand that this is a really needed thing here in the city and that it will be a great thing if we would have.
And I like simple solutions, my friend. I like very, very simple solutions. I'm a simple guy, once again. I was not a genius at school. I had my own struggles, my own vulnerabilities, my own weaknesses. My brain operates in identifying simple solutions, simple problems, and trying to bring simple solutions. I think we live in a world that tends to overcomplicate lots of things, especially in the world of business. Sometimes, you don't need to express to find to complicate the problems or to complicate the solutions. I think that this is a bad habit that people have in most organizations, especially in big corporations, to complicate everything.
Mhm.
Even in art, I like Camus, Hemingway, this type of writers who write shorts. And I have a book for you, my friend. It's my science fiction novel. And I'm not comparing myself to those masters of literature. Of course, I'm
Yeah.
a little old novel, and
But give it here so we can show it a little bit to the camera, because I wanted to ask you about your science fiction authorship as well. But
I
do
did
you
not
think
want to
that
make a transition. It was
you
not
brought
foreseen,
it?
but
Good that you brought
yeah,
it.
this is
So
for you. I'm
actually,
going to sign it for you. I didn't do it. I'm going to
thank you.
sign for you.
Because
Sure.
I actually love science fiction, so I'm a great
Oh,
fan
really?
of Isaac
But it's in French,
Asimov.
my friend.
And
So I know you understand a bit of French.
it's
Romanian
okay.
translation will follow next year, as well as
Okay.
English translation. I'm discussing with my French publishing house so that it can be translated. Sorry, my point was not to sell my book. My point was simplicity in business is super important. Same in art, like in
Mhm.
painting. I like Van Gogh paintings because there are not many colors.
Mhm.
The Mozart masterpieces are using 12 musical notes. What I'm saying is that we live in the world where people tend to overcomplicate things, and sometimes it's good to really focus on simple things. And simplicity is basically one of my drivers, and this is what I believe has made me successful in some of my companies.
Saying complicated things, making it simple. I could say the same thing about Europe today. Is
Yes,
that we see? And I think it's one of the problems of, let's say, the European economy. Totally, we regulate a lot of stuff. There's the famous quote that US innovates, Europe regulates, and China copies usually. But my main thing that I want to ask you, if we get to this like complicated things that can be way simpler, that actually sometimes get in the way of innovation, because if you want to innovate, you sometimes have to have that, let's say, childish mind. That's
true,
when you are most creative, when you were a
exactly.
child. And then school came and destroyed. You were talking about why Romanian people, I have the answer for that, why Romanian people today, even successful people, middle management, also like upper levels of management in multinational companies, are afraid to talk, are afraid to have speeches, are afraid to be on camera, are afraid to, I don't know, they need public speaking lessons. It's because in the school system, they learned multiple languages. They learned how to be professional in accounting. They learned how to be the best at their job, but they didn't learn how to be courageous, how to not be afraid of risk, and how to be authentic most of
True.
the times. These are things that the Romanian school system not only does not learn this, does not teach this to you, it actually kills the drive for this. And at Beyond Business School, I'm just getting back to that for just this point. At Beyond Business School, you're empowered to do that. And I've seen that. You're
Encouraged to
empowered.
do that. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
absolutely.
encouraged and empowered to actually speak your mind, to actually ask the questions.
Yeah.
You also have the opportunity to ask your questions to amazing business leaders and CEOs. Could you actually share in this cohort which CEOs are going to join, or which?
So we do the pre-launch at Coca-Cola's HQ with Cornell, the GM of Coca-Cola Romania is kind enough to welcome the pre-launch actually on Monday next week. And then the launch is going to be with Ela Moraru, country director of Google for Romania, plus an additional 4 countries in the region. You know her because she did the opening and the closing also of court one.
Exactly.
I mean, if you take the top 100 companies by revenue in Romania, we have, I don't know, 50 or 60 of them are a part of the CEO talks. And the ones who are not in the CEO talks yet is because we have limited seats, and we'll have to ask them to join for the cohort 3. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. But that being said, what we are going to do is that we are going to keep our CEO talks once per month outside of the cohorts.
I've seen that.
Yeah. So this is why we can accommodate all those CEOs.
Yeah.
And not many refuse. Actually, I mean, 80 to 90% of the CEOs whom I approach accept to come in the CEO talks. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. It shows that people understand that education is important. People know us as well. If they don't know me personally or on my business partner Andra, they know my reputation.
Exactly.
They know that.
I think it's a key on reputation. I think we can apply this in a lot of business models, but it's reputation. It's your energy, because you have a lot of energy. We won't share this now, but you have told me about CEOs that you're following up with them. Maybe they didn't respond right away, but you are doing that meticulous, let's say.
I never drop the ball, and I always find the right angle to manage to reach out to them and to have dinner with them.
And that's a science, because this is also what we are doing for our clients. A lot of stuff. We have projects that imply reaching out to government officials, reaching out. Also, when we sail to the private sector, when we sail to our clients, there is a science behind follow-up. if you follow up too much,
Science and mindset. I
Exactly.
mean, you can't go enter by the door. You enter by the window, and
Exactly.
this window, you always find a way. Like a little mouse, you finally manage to enter. And
Exactly.
I agree.
And
Say
it also depends how you
mindset.
do it. How you do it
Yeah.
also, because
While being respectful, still.
exactly, respectful. Sometimes you have to know when too much is too much.
True.
Because those people might block your number at some
Exactly.
point. So, but you still have to be respectful, but never give up. And this is also part of what you're doing. And I like, congratulations for everything. I think you're an inspiration for a lot of, let's say, also students at Beyond Business School, but also from your community, from La French Tech, from everything you're doing. You are an inspiration in this fact that you have an amazing energy. You're also not afraid of risk, as we have seen, and also the innovative part, where you see a lot of things that maybe other people don't see. And I think that might be the key to your success, but it might be also it's a story for other people that, as you can replicate business models, maybe some people can also replicate, or at least take part of the good things you do, and also learn from them and apply them in their own lives.
At the end of the day, companies don't do business with companies. It's people doing business with people, and that's it.
Exactly.
Reputation is everything. This is what being an entrepreneur has taught me since I started. All the time it shows. All the time it shows.
Last question is that I want to ask you, because we have talked about a lot of stuff. We have talked about your companies. We have talked about your arrival in Romania. We've talked about even science fiction and the things you are doing in all of these domains. I want to understand from your perspective on investing, on starting companies right now, and if we are talking about the present moment, this region of the world, but also Europe. We have seen the Draghi report. Europe is lacking. It's not that innovative, over-regulation. It struggles a bit economically, competitive-wise, globally. At least in face of China or in face of the US, like their main competitors. Europe, and this side of Europe also is challenged by other state actors, by hybrid warfare and stuff like that, because of the war with Ukraine. When we look at the globe right now, and we see, I don't know, war in Israel, everything happening in Syria, another administration in the US that will take seat. We see this happening in Europe. From an investor mindset, we have a quote that usually goes something like, in chaos, there is opportunity. But at the same time, we see that a lot of investors, at least for this part of the world, they sometimes stop at Poland. They don't look that much into this region of the world because of uncertainty, because of what's happening, and they expect some predictability. How do you feel investment and businesses can survive, or how do they behave now in these uncertain times? And these uncertain times that might become actually a norm, as we see. We might expect more and more of this happening in the world.
So let me take the angle that I know best, which is the French angle here. You take the CAC 40 companies, so the 40 biggest companies in France, they are all of them in Romania, directly or through a subsidiary with partial or majority stakes. Okay, all of them. So Romania is really on the map for France is one of the biggest investors in Romania. 5 billion euros investment yearly. It's absolutely huge. That's the reality for big companies. But in my world, which is not the corporate world because I'm a startup entrepreneur, Romania is not on the map at all when it comes to tech startups. We mentioned BlaBlaCar. BlaBlaCar is the only significant French startups that did something in Romania. How do I bring those French startups to Romania? I don't have the solution yet. La French Tech, thank you for talking about La French Tech. It's an association. I'm a volunteer. I launched this in 2019. There are 70 chapters, 70 chapters of La French Tech all around the world. La French Tech in Romania is the largest one globally. We are bigger than the UK and the USA in terms of budget, in terms of number of events, in terms of attendance. 8 business events per year, 500 people on average. I'm super pumped about this. My role as the founder and president of La French Tech since 2019 with this community is to be the bridge between Romania and France when it comes to innovation, technology, and startups. But I'm struggling in selling Romania to France, to French startups. Why? because there is this habit, indeed, as you pointed out very well, of believing that it's relatively unstable. But I think it's even more than that. They have no idea that there is this region. Actually, they don't even think about this. The typical mindset of a French tech startup company would be to expand to Germany, Spain, Italy, maybe the UK, and of course Switzerland and Belgium, because we are French and we like to people who are culturally speaking.
Exactly.
But this is where my angle is. Say, look, guys, la Roumanie est un îlot de latinité dans un océan slave. This is the closest by far country in terms of languages, culture that we have in the entire region. Come here. So this is my mission. I'm not super vocal about this. This is between me and those French 20 company. French 20 listing is like the CAC 40, but for the 120 top tech startups company in France. And for the moment, me and the board of La French Tech, we didn't manage to bring by ourselves into Romania one of those French tech startups. And the day it happens, I'm going to be very proud of this, but we are still struggling. Yes.
But this was a bit of a rhetorical question because we are also doing the same thing. So
Yes.
I think the answer to the question is exactly what you pointed out: economic diplomacy. Because you have to do more economic diplomacy. You have to go outside of the country, or at least interact. Now, outside doesn't mean physically go outside the country, but online and everything, the cyberspace, interact with potential investors and explain to them what's happening here. Because we have brought investors into Romania, we have managed to secure investments and to convince them to not leave the country. And we are doing this by explaining and selling, pitching Romania, and also explaining to them what's happening here. But you have pointed out, and I can not only underline it more, but you have said it right. A lot of investors, a lot of the ecosystems, economic ecosystems, also in the West of Europe, maybe in the US as well, don't know about Romania. They don't know about this region, and they don't know. It's also part, let's say you could split the blame, but I would take it mostly on the Romanians, because it's us not going enough.
Yes.
And explaining and selling
Romania ourselves.
I mean, in our
we are
team,
coming back to this eventually. I mean,
exactly.
our incapacity. Yeah, but there are some stuff, and you were talking about online, and I agree. I mean, let's be even more vocal on social media, trying to say all about these opportunities in Romania, and this is something I've been doing. On French TV, I went several times on French TV, national TV, to talk about Romania, and I'm so proud and happy to do that. So proud and happy. I'm so happy to be the Romanian ambassador.
Yeah, I just want to say that we are, for our viewers, we are having this podcast in English only because I chose to have it in English because you're speaking Romanian quite fluently. So
Thank you. My wife would tend to disagree with my accent. She says that I speak Romanian and English like Spanish cow, but this is what we say in French, like parler anglais comme une vache espagnole. Anyway, yes, I live here. Yeah. This is my country of heart. By the way, I will soon, probably next year, ask the Romanian passport as well. Yeah, my wife, she's Romanian. She will ask for the French passport, and I will ask for the Romanian one, so that the two of us, we have like our 3 kids, because we have 3 kids, and they are French Romanian. Yeah.
Okay, let's end on an idea, and I want to have your point on this. As you have been here for over 20 years, you have started a lot of companies. You, of course, are really invested here, and you are now becoming a Romanian citizen, as you have said. Is how have you seen this country change? Since the first time you set foot, we were in the French embassy. You were almost thinking maybe because you were forced by the French ambassador, you wanted to leave. But then you've decided to stay and decided to have your future here. That was a bet. At that point, it was a bet. Now, maybe you have seen, okay, the bet was a good bet. I won that bet. But how have you seen the country change in this part in the past 20 years? Because for Romanians, since they are here, they have seen maybe the changes slow, they are not that happy about it, and so on. Some people want maybe faster changes and so on. But it's also interesting a lot of times when I'm talking to you, to other people who are foreigners and who have chosen to make a life here in Romania, that they see things a little bit more clearly, actually, because they are maybe more objective in their view, in their analysis.
So I will get back in time, and my first experience in Romania was in 1991.
Oh, okay.
1991.
1991.
Actually, I stayed in Romania from 1991 to 1994.
Okay.
3 years in the beginning of the 90s. My father, French from Marseille, who still lives here, by the way, in Romania. Another lover of Romania. You know, all the French people who come here, they love Romania.
Yeah.
He was an expat at PwC, and back then I used to live with him. And then I come back to France with my mother, a little sister, and little brother. But I discovered Romania in the beginning of the 90s. Beginning of the 90s, then I came back in 2006, and I've been here since then. I've been traveling, but most of the time I'm here. What I've seen is the resilience of Romanian people and their capacity to adapt. Adaptability is probably the strongest asset that Romanians have. It's absolutely incredible. The way this society is changing fast. And you know, I mean, I can I can talk in terms of general terms, but let me use maybe one business example here because I'm a business person. So for me, it resonates, and it's better for me to express it like that way. When we launched this call center company that we mentioned about earlier, Callpoint, we were super entrepreneurial, French mindset, entrepreneurial driven type of business. You know, 10 years after, what happens? There is Stylus Digital belonging to a corporate giant from Canada that comes and takes over the company. And you know what? I thought, like, with my business partner, you know what? It's going to be a dramatic cultural change from startup to corporates, from French/Romanian, Bulgarian to Canadian. We are going to lose lots of people, including managers, in the process. I was absolutely amazed of the capability of people to adapt, to change the language. We changed not only the brand, but we changed the entire culture, the processes. We changed literally everything. And we lost no one in the process because Romanians are super adaptable. I love my country of origin, France. I'm super proud to be French, but we are very bad at some obvious things. And I'm telling you, this lack of adaptability. We are not good at adapting. My friends working in the French companies, whenever there is a merger, when there is an acquisition or something, people freak out. They can't adapt as much as Romanians. I think this is due to Romanian history. This country had to fight with foreign powers, trying to adapt, fight in the same time, but show some level of flexibility to ensure survival.
Because of the resources. They didn't have enough resources to defend in the proper way. So, of course, they had to...
So it's a complicated idea. You are passionate about history and you know history much more than I do, especially for this region of the world.
But you're right. We could say that.
But it could be part of the reason why the power of adaptability of Romanians is absolutely incredible. And I would extend this power of adaptability of Romanians to the cultural matters and the multilingual matters, because we were saying earlier how good Romanians speak foreign languages is. That was the reason why I started the multilingual BPO business in the first place. This capacity of learning, speaking languages is also an evidence of the ability of people to think, I mean, to talk, to express themselves, and to think in another language. So for me, it's the best possible illustration that we could find. It does not come from anywhere. Whereas us in French, unfortunately, we don't. We are not as good in foreign languages. I have to admit. Yeah. But anyway, sorry. You asked me a simple question, short one, and I gave you a long answer. But I'm super passionate about those topics. Romanians are super adaptable. Romanians are super problem solvers. I'm super impressed by the capabilities of Romanians to find solutions. Solutions. But the problem of Romanians in business is that they are very good at finding solutions, but they are not very good at selling them. So this is why I launched this executive MBA, and this is why I launched business school, because there is no business school in Romania, and my purpose is really to support this new generation of Romanian business leaders.
That was great. Greg, I thank you very much for coming to this podcast.
Mulțumesc din suflet. Mulțumesc
I
foarte,
thank
foarte,
you
foarte
for
mult.
Giving us these ideas and for enlightening us with your perspectives and your history. And I think what I want to say is to our viewers, Happy New Year and amazing Christmas for you all. And I hope that when you listen to this, maybe after I don't know, maybe after Christmas and so on, you get a new energy starting into next year. Maybe somewhere, I think you don't have any more free spaces at this point for them to enroll in Beyond Business School, but maybe
For next year.
2026.
2026.
Exactly, they get the seed planted into their mind that this
It's a long game.
It's a long game, exactly. Long conversion time, and
Yeah.
they will be the students of the third cohort for sure.
Or the fourth. No rush.
Exactly. Thank you, Greg.